Colbyjack.net is proud to present From the Flames by Trisha M. Wilson. The people of the fire, the Blesa, led by their queens, have ruled the island of Alfeyju and oppressed the Driva, the people of the ice, for more than 16 generations. With the Drivian King in hiding and little hope on the horizon, the Driva looked to one person to save them from the vile Blesa, the Diviana. According to legend, the divinely gifted Diviana will one day overthrow the Blesa and restore the Drivian King to his rightful throne. But with the search having lasted for more than 400 years, will the Diviana ever come to light? Willow is the slave of the Raskpil family. Bought at the age of 4, 20 years have passed since her life irrevocably changed. Her existence is no worse than any other slave, but within, Willow wonders if there isn't something more she should be doing with her life other than serving the ungrateful. Ordered to travel with her master's family to Sondertoft, so her master's adult children can take part in an ancient rite of passage, Willow is shocked when she learns that she too must participate. Will she fail, as all before her have? Will she rise to the challenge and become stronger after passing through the flames? From the Flames, Episode 9, Chapter 4, An Unwelcome Arrival. The boat glided toward the empty dock closest to the main ramp connecting the pier to the land. On land, Willow saw that it appeared that the whole town was waiting for her. Gently coming to rest alongside the dock, the boat held its position as if tied up. Standing, the gentle rocking ceased, allowing her to gain her balance. Carefully stepping onto the dock with Val in hand, Willow looked at the quiet crowd, trying to decide if she should approach them. She watched them for a few moments, not moving more than a step or two from the boat. Val said, "Walk toward them. Don't say anything. Just walk toward them." Doing as she was told, she started to walk toward the crowd, not sure what would happen. However, she knew that she couldn't stay on the dock forever. Her movements snapped the crowd out of their shocked silence. Someone yelled, "How did you move that boat, witch?" "Witch?" Willow thought, stopping in her tracks. "This is not going to go well if they start calling me a witch." "Why?" Val asked, oblivious to the potential danger. "You heard me?" Willow asked, shocked. "Of course I heard you. Now answer the question. Why isn't it good that they called you a witch?" "Because witches have been burned at the stake in the past. What should I say?" "Ignore the question and say something about how you found the Diviana. Just that much, nothing more. I want to get a feel of the crowd. There's something about them I can't put my finger on." Looking at the crowd, Willow said in what she hoped was a confident voice, "I have found the Diviana." Holding up the staff in the air above her head, she said, "This is the Diviana which so many generations have searched for." "I thought I told you I wasn't the Diviana," Val said unhappily. "Yes, you did," Willow said in her mind, "but they don't know that, and I'd rather not confuse them with unimportant information." At her announcement, the crowd gasped, and Willow heard whispers from everyone. A man from the crowd, the same man that had called her a witch, said, "I saw you at the ceremony yesterday. You're nothing but a slave that found a nicely carved stick and stole clothes from your betters." Another voice from the crowd said, "If you are who you say you are, prove it!" The crowd made noises that to Willow sounded as if they too wanted her to prove her statement. "What do I do now?" Willow asked, trying not to panic. "The boat. Tell them how you had to make the boat because the ship left without you. That should be proof enough for now," Val suggested, not sounding worried at all. Waving her arm behind her to point at the boat, she said, "This boat should be all the proof you need. The ship that took me and my other fellow searchers to Gillenholm left me behind. No other vessels were on that island, so I had to make my own. Some people at the front of the group looked skeptical, but Willow persisted, saying, If you don't believe me, ask them. We did leave without her, a man who had been on the ship said. We left right after the earth and water shook beneath us all. She'd been out there longer than the allowed time. The crowd whispered amongst themselves. Before anyone could say anything else to Willow, Amalek stepped out from the crowd. By the gods, why are you all questioning our Savior as if she were nothing but a liar and a thief? Her clothes are finer than anything ever made by man, and you all know that there are no boats on that island for her to have used. Even if there were, no woman alone would have been able to fight the seas and return to the mainland safely. Today is a glorious day, for soon we shall be free of the oppression we have lived under for so long. All of you, go back to the festival and start the celebration. The Diviana has been freed from its resting place, and our yearly search has finally come to an end. Come, he said again, and be merry. Now is a time for celebration. Everyone rejoice. The crowd looked at Amalek as if he were crazy, but none questioned his orders. Most of the crowd turned and headed toward the Hall of Justice. He kept them all together and moving like a shepherd leading his sheep. Some of the men, however, moved closer to Willow and Val. Their faces were serious and hard. There wasn't an inch of give in any of them. The apparent leader of the group said, Give me that staff. Do not pass me around like a toy, Val said, strongly emphasizing each word. I am a weapon that can do great damage with one thought by you. I am not something that should be passed around and examined by these lugheads. I'm sorry, sir, but I cannot, Willow said, hoping to put an end to the conversation, but not really thinking it would. I said, the man growled, give me that staff. Tell them no, and that if they persist, you will not be pleased, Val instructed. Again, sir, I must say no. I will not give you my staff, and if you persist in ordering me to, I will not be happy, she said, this time with a bite to her voice. These men were really beginning to make her mad. Who did they think they were ordering her around? You will give me that staff, or I shall take it from you, the man said, taking a step toward Willow. The other men also took a step, showing their solidarity. It looks like a show of power is necessary, Val said. Look within, and remember a time when you were really angry. Not just a little mad, but angry enough to hurt someone. Remember a time when the boys and girls at school had picked on her because of the way she looked and the ill fit of her clothes. Willow felt anger build up within her. Eyes still on the man, she felt an electrical current, much like the one she'd felt earlier in the day when she created the boat, moving through her body and into the staff. The staff, which had looked like it was made of wood, shifted into the form Willow had first seen it, flames on the bottom, ice on top, the green stone pulsing with life. The men saw the change in the staff. Willow saw fear and terror in their eyes. They backed away, stumbling over each other in their haste. Once they were a few steps away from her, they turned and ran. As they ran, Willow saw their faces were twisted with abject terror, the look of a predator realizing it was now prey. Very good, Val said in a soothing voice. You must calm down now. Think about a happy time, any happy time, and know that you now have the power to protect yourself. That doesn't mean you won't ever be hurt, because words will always hurt more than actions. However, now you can keep the physical damage to yourself down to a minimum. With every word Val spoke, Willow felt the anger melt away, leaving not peace behind, but a strange feeling of calmness. It was the same kind of calmness that always came upon Willow after a fight had been settled. Or before the fight there was tension and uncertainty, and perhaps even fear. After a fight there was a clearing of grievances, and while all tensions might not be banished, there was a calmness left behind. This was the calmness Willow now felt. "Thank you for your help," Willow whispered. "That's what I'm here for. Look, it's becoming dark and you are tired. Take me to where you sleep so that we can rest. Tomorrow will be another day of learning and discovering," Val said with a yawn. Willow began to walk toward the inn where her master's family was staying. No, she suddenly thought, not my master's family. I am no longer a slave, so I have no master. But if I have no master, what place do I have in their family? I've always had a place. Sure, it wasn't always a happy place, but I belonged. Now I have no concrete ties. Slaves don't become free overnight. Has a slave ever been freed by their master? What do I do now? Do I stay with them or do I? Willow couldn't even finish the sentence. She didn't know what she'd do if she didn't stay with them. Traveling through the crowd, she felt the eyes of the townspeople on her. Some were watching her every move for some obvious sign that she was who she said she was. Others, however, whispered about how she was a fraud, a thief, and a liar. Nice town, Val commented, as they continued to move through the crowds. What's it called again? Sondertoff. It's on the southern coast of Alfeyju. Willow told him silently. Do you live here, or did you only come to find me? My family and I live on the western coast, about a day's passage by ship. We came to town yesterday for the festival and the search. Your family? Val questioned. I thought one of those uncouth loudmouths said you were a slave. I am a slave, Willow answered, forgetting that she was now free. I call them my family because I have lived with them since I was 4 years old. What happened to your parents? Val asked as they entered the packed inn. That story will have to be left for another day, Willow said as she paused in front of the room her family was staying in. Here's where we've been staying. Not bad for an inn, Val commented as Willow opened the door. Room's a bit small, though, with only 2 beds. Where do you sleep? Before Willow could respond, Mistress Brigida strode across the room and slapped her hard across the face. Willow was speechless. She'd been hit by her mistress before, but never without warning or so violently. What does that woman think she's doing? Val asked in an incredulous voice. Willow ignored Val and focused on the angry woman in front of her. How dare you steal the glory that should have been for my children, you little backstabber! Mistress Brigida said scathingly. I didn't. Don't speak, Mistress Brigida said, cutting Willow off. I treated you well over the last 20 years, and this is how you repay me? By claiming to have found the Diviana? By stealing clothes from someone far more superior than yourself? By lying? You make me sick. But I'm not. I should have known that you would ruin this day for my family, she continued, not caring about what Willow had to say. You never could let anyone else into the limelight. It was always about you. You. That's not true, mistress. You have disgraced my entire family and yourself with this incident. My children deserve the attention you received today, not you, you little nothing, Mistress Brigida said. Willow felt anger pouring off of her like sheets of rain. Why are you letting this plebeian talk to you like that? Stop her, Val demanded. Because of your actions, you will leave and never return. Don't come to my home or the village again, and never contact my family. We have a lot of work to do to rise above the dishonor you have bestowed upon us. Leave? But you're my family, Willow cried, more shocked than she had ever been before. If you really did find the Diviana, then you are no longer a slave, and I have no use for someone who isn't a slave. You are not my family. You never were. Leave my sight at once. Willow opened her mouth to protest, to defend herself, to do something, but Val stopped her. It won't do any good, Willow. She's made up her mind, and nothing you say or do will change it. Get your things, and let's leave before she tries to hit you again. Willow walked over to gather her pack. Inside was 1 blanket, 1 change of clothes, and an antler comb. She bent down to grab it when Mistress Brigida said, What are you doing? I'm taking my things, Willow said, her hand closing over one of the straps. You have no things. You came to me with nothing, girl. Everything you have belongs to me, she snarled. You lie, mistress. Everything in this bag is mine. Prove it! Dump the contents on the bed. Want to make sure you're not trying to steal anything. Willow turned to the nearest bed and emptied her pack. Mistress Brigida walked over to the bed and said, None of this is yours, you thief. I provided this blanket. I spent the money to obtain the fabric for this dress. My husband caught the deer from which this comb was made. Come to think of it, didn't I provide you this bag? No, mistress. I've had this bag since I came to you. This was mine before you gave me anything. As to the rest, you are quite mistaken. This blanket was Naya's, but she threw it away when it became too thin to keep her warm. I saved it and stitched it back together. If it weren't for me, there would be no blanket left for you to fight me over. Why, you little! As for the dress, I made a deal with the weaver. I worked for the weaver, spending hour after painstaking hour threading the heddles and reed for her warp. I then took the worst of the weaver's work and made this dress. You did nothing except allow me to work longer hours for a few weeks. Mistress Brigida sputtered, but Willow continued her recitation of Mistress's misspoken accusations. The only thing you can claim, even if it is by the barest bit, is the antler comb. Master did catch the deer and make the comb. He gave the comb to Ricky, who in turn broke it within a week of receiving it. It was I who retrieved it from the refuse pile and painstakingly repaired it. Again, you did nothing to claim any ownership to it. The evidence of everything she said was thoroughly clear to anyone who looked at the items in question. The blanket was repaired in so many different places. It was a miracle that it was still in one piece. Even with Willow's best efforts, there were still holes in it, and the edges continued to fray. This was a blanket better given to a beggar, not Mistress Brigida's prized children. The dress also had the same shabby wear to it, stained in many places and uneven in weave. The fabric would have been used as repairs for very poor children's clothes. Again, nothing anyone who had any money would use or wear. Perhaps the most pitiful of the items was the antler comb. Willow had tried her best to repair the teeth of the comb, but some things just weren't meant to be. Only 1 out of every 3 teeth remained, and even they looked to be on their last leg. Livestock were combed with better combs than this. Only the pact remained in good condition, for Willow had taken care of it and kept it away from the twins' destructive ways. Early on she'd learned that the only things they couldn't destroy were those things they couldn't find. Mistress Brigida must have come to the same conclusion as anyone else looking at the items on the bed would have, because she said, "Fine, take them. What have I the need with items no beggar would even take?" As Willow gathered up her only possessions, Mistress Brigida walked back over to the door and flung it open. Walking to the wide-open door, Willow didn't even pause as she said, "Goodbye, Mistress," and passed through the door. The door slamming behind her was Mistress Brigida's only response. In a trance, Willow walked down the stairs and turned toward the front door of the inn. She never made it. Hands suddenly grabbed her and dragged her under the stairs. Before she knew it, the owner of the hands threw her against the wall. 2 figures, blurred in the darkness which surrounded them all, blocked Willow's view of the room, and the room's view of her. This work is released under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Do what you want with it. Remix it, re-record it, transcribe it, share it. Just don't sell it or change the terms of the license. Your creation must be released under an Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.